Okay, it's 4 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order. So may I have a motion for the minutes?
So moved.
Move second, call the question. Those in favor, opposed, motion carry. The next meeting will be on March 28th, 2023, 4 o'clock, same place. So with 3 items on the agenda, I know that there may be some questions when we go to manager's report. So with that, is there any addition to the agenda, Michael? No? Okay, good. So with that, let's go to item number 1, Stevenston Community Center and Library Signature Outdoor Artwork Terms of Reference. Anything to add to the report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nothing to add to the report, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions? No? Okay.
Move the recommendation.
So move, seconded.
I have a question.
Oh, Michael, yes.
Thanks. I'll try and put my hand up both ways or speak out. Just be brief. My question on this one is there an ability to make a comparison to the Minoru Center for Active Living on the cost of their outdoor artwork and their indoor artwork? Is it quite comparable to this?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, it is comparable. This project for the Minoru Center for Active Living, the sculpture called Together, was commissioned a few years ago. So prices have gone up, but with the price adjustment is comparable.
The follow-up then through the chair to staff, would the almost 50-50 split be also similar? I'm familiar with what I think would be considered as indoor artwork, like the cloud and the art on the rock wall, or would that not be considered indoor artwork? I'm just trying to think of what will be the $200,000 art indoors.
The Together, through the chair to Councillor Wolf, Together, which is the installed artwork at the entrance plaza of Minoru Center for Active Living, I would say is the most comparable in terms of size and materiality and presence. The artwork called Air and Cloud is installed inside the facility, but it's also meant to be a signature inside artwork.
Oh, okay, thank you. Then my final question through the chair is, I know it says in here the budget for this outdoor work for the $250,000 will be inclusive of lots of things. My question is, does it also include electrifying the space, or will that, I'm assuming the artwork will have some light component to it, and I'm also hoping that the budget to provide the electricity is not going to eat away at this $250,000.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, if the artwork and the lighting is part of the artistic concept, it would be part of this budget. Anything beyond that would be part of the general construction.
Okay, thank you.
Carol?
Chair to staff, thank you for the report. So on page 10, it says that the outdoor artwork will be $250,000, $250,000. How does that compare to the sculpture, the big man holding the boy's, a person holding another person's hand at the front of MCAL?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, this is the sculpture Together in front of Minoru Center for Active Living. It is comparable in terms of budget because this Together was commissioned a few years ago. So about the same in terms of size, budget, material.
Okay,
yeah.
So we can...
And process.
Excellent. So we can consider something about that scale and intensity. So, all right, thank you.
Good. The motion has been moved and seconded. Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carry. Moving on to number 2, Richmond Public Art Program 2022 Annual Highlights and Public Art Advisory Committee 2023 Work Plan. Anything to add to the report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a small comment to make on page PRCS 24. Since the writing of the report, our stats have changed, have grown a little bit. So we have now 367 total number of artworks since the conception of the program, and we have 196 permanent artwork installations.
Wow, very good.
Thank you. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments?
Move the recommendation.
So move.
Yeah, I have a question.
Michael?
Oh, thank you. Through the chair to staff, just a quick one. I was looking through the, I lost it now, the table, here it is on page 28, 29, the kind of work plan for attachment 1. And I was looking under strategy 2C, which is community public art programs. And I guess my question is, do we have, because I've heard, or I've seen large amounts of art supplies just get thrown out because people feel there's no place to drop them off. And then I was trying to look in this work plan where either maybe the group, the advisory committee can look to advise us on establishing a place where art supplies can be donated, dropped off at. Maybe it's a central location, or maybe every community center front desk is a go-to place. Could you comment on if there is already a receiving method, or could that be infused into the strategy 2C?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, currently we don't have a method for this, and we do find that some artists and community members may use materials, especially in the Engaging Artists in the Community program, which has a lot of community engagement as part of that. So that can certainly be implemented as part of this work plan.
Okay, great. I appreciate that. I was just heartbroken to see so much stuff put into a dumpster the other day, and I couldn't take any more myself. So, okay, thank you.
So Andy?
Thanks, and through the chair. Well, thanks for the report. Just a quick question on the numbers, 367 works and the 196. What's that kind of relationship between permanent and temporary installations, and how many of those are permanent? Because I have an image in my mind of art being rotated in and out. So is that an average number that would be out there, 196?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, yes, it's comparable. It's about half and half. Permanent artworks are anything that lasts 25 years or more in terms of lifespan, and permanent and temporary works are ones that are murals or performances or anything ephemeral, but our collection is about half and half.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions? Okay, motion has been moved and seconded. Call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion carry. Moving on to item number 3, tree, bench, and picnic table dedication program update. So staff, there's a report. So anything to add to the report or any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nothing further to add to the report. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions? Okay, Bill?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. Obviously, this is, thank you for the report. Been going for a long time, and what developed was a fundraiser has developed into a very sensitive piece of work over the years. And I just have a couple of questions, and they're not in the report. It's a good status report, but what do we have and what are we projecting for the future now that we've got it? In that, in the last month, I must have had 6 requests. I'd like a tree, I'd like a bench. We're getting to that stage in Richmond where things are happening, which we unfortunately don't like. So I guess my question is, what, given our program and the success, what are we prepared and what are we projecting? Can we handle the volume, so to speak, as it comes in, as opposed to saying, well, you have to wait, you're 8 months down the road. It's not a development we're talking about. We're talking about somebody, crying on the phone. So I guess that's, I know it's not necessarily part of the report, but I think we need to answer that.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, we work with our planning group in Parks Planning, Design and Construction to identify opportunities at all times. We're continually developing new parks, and as those new parks come online, a very important component of any new park design are seating and picnic benches as well as trees. So the opportunities for future capacity, future expansion in the program is inherently built into our park development system. That said, that we will always have challenges with high demand areas, as indicated, I believe, in the map on attachment 2, where it's quite curious, it's quite red on the edges, especially in Gary Point Park, and then there's many available benches and assets inside the city. We're always pressed to find locations at these high demand areas because we want to strike a balance between providing opportunity, but also not having so many benches that it distracts from the overall design and experience.
Just a comment, I mean, thank you for that. I guess if I wanted as we continue to raise the dike around the island, I think that there are some very, what I will call picturesque, serene settings that we need to take advantage of and put out, for example, in the South Dike that we've got. If I was choosing right now, I would choose that, and that's a gorgeous view on it. The other thing, and just to avoid some controversy, we probably still have some people that have not responded, we can't find, may have passed away, families assuming that this was going to go on forever, because when we started it, I think a lot of people do that. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to put a half a page on our website, that if you have any concern about memorial benches and picnic tables and trees, we are always available for you to contact us on a continuous basis. In other words, we put it out there. It's not like somebody will phone me from Comox or somewhere and say, well, I was never told, etc. It's there. It's up front. It's part of a program. Here's how you get in contact with it. And I think it would avoid I'm not saying it'll work, hopefully some people will read it, but it would avoid a lot of controversy when people do make contact with us. You know, it's been up there, here's what you do. If you wish to, it doesn't have to be very much, just enough to, and a picture of a bench and a picture of a table, and away we go from there. Anyhow, good report, and I think, as I said, unfortunately, over the last while, and I guess it will continue, there will be that demand. Okay, thank you.
Do you want to respond to the second point?
Certainly, yes, through the chair to Councilor McNulty. That information will indeed be included in our updated website, how to contact staff and where to receive updated information.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. So, Carol?
Thank you very much. Well, I remember when this first came forward in Parks Committee, and people were absolutely coming unglued because they thought they'd bought the bench for a lifetime, and it wasn't clear. So I know what you guys have gone through. The entire department has worked so hard to rectify that situation. And I'm really pleased that there's quite a long grace period, including a temporary plaque being put on the bench and the old one being removed for 12 months. And then the old plaque, if no one claims it, you hold on to for 6 years. I am a little surprised that there's actually, as it says on page 33, that as shown in the above table, the number of available assets significantly exceeds the number of residents on the wait list. This is new. It wasn't like that, certainly 5-6 years ago. So that makes me really happy. I like the idea of putting information on the website, but I wondered if we couldn't create a little information plaque that is maybe somewhere near the bottom of the bench explaining the process. You put your name on a wait list, you buy the dedication for so many years, and then you have the option of renewing it. And if you don't, then we move on to other people who are on the wait list. I know that's a lot of information, but if there was a way to just maybe engrave a small plastic plaque, stick it somewhere out of sight, but it just clearly explains to people, you want to have a bench with a plaque for a loved one, you go on a wait list, but it's not for life. So if that's possible to just expand a little bit on what Councillor McNulty said and have that information on site on every bench and every picnic table.
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Day, we will certainly work with our parks planning staff to identify ways in order to include that information actually on our park sites and open spaces.
Thank you.
Laura?
Thank you. Through the chair, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the report. I also remember when this issue came to council in 2019, and I was just a member of the community and not on council at the time, but I do remember how upset people were, and I'm just reading this, and I'm very impressed with the amount of leniency and grace periods and all the steps of protection that have been put into place to make sure people don't lose their plaques. And I think that's really wonderful. I was just wanted clarification on one thing I was curious about. In order to get, I just want to clarify. So if someone gets a bench, a plaque on a bench, it's theirs for 10 years, and then if they renew it, other people could add a plaque to that bench. Is that right?
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, at the point of renewal, the first right of refusal goes to the original dedicator, so they can renew for an additional 10 years. At that time, staff will ask them if they would like to share that dedication if there is a wait list.
Okay, great. Yeah. I was wondering how that worked with the additional plaques. That's good. Thank you so much for all your work on this.
Okay, Michael?
Great, thank you very much. Just a few questions that remain for staff. Thank you for passing this along to us. I think I'm really pleased with the options that are being recommended here. I guess my first question is about those 114 outdated contacts. I know it says in the report that a majority of them are registrants from before 2003, but do we have any other information? Like, do some of them we have a lead on? We just don't have the original contact person, but someone else in the family. Like, is there any other way that you've got qualitative information on those 114?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, this is one of the issues with the program prior to 2003 is that we have the information for the original dedicators, and we've reached out to them by mail, by email, all of the avenues available to staff. Unfortunately, all of that information or all of the correspondence has resulted in no information from those original dedicators, which is why, as a last resort, we're starting to remove plaques so that we can obtain the information of these remaining dedicators.
Great, thanks. A follow-up then on that one through the chair of staff is, if I picture 114 plaques and you stack them side by side, I think I'd fill a milk crate or more. I just I hesitate a little bit on having a 6-year limit on them. I think at the end of 6 years, if we got nowhere else to put them, I'll put them in my garage. I'll store them. But I just don't feel like we should have a cutoff where all of a sudden we're turfing them, because we have places that maybe archive or a museum display one time, or I don't know, they could become a fixture on a wall somewhere in one of our facilities. Yeah, I don't think that takes up that much space if you stack them properly. Do you have any comment on that? And then I have one other question.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we will certainly continue to look into options for the use of these plaques for people who do not come forward to claim them.
Okay, thanks. My next question, I did check out recently the site online for dedications, and out in Hamilton actually noticed a lot of blue colors, a lot of availability. I know a couple of ones that are marked red. There's people there regularly, and they're connected family members to the names on the plaque. And my question is, if someone were to do a tree dedication, and I know it, as it says, and as I'm aware, hammering something into the tree with a name on isn't so good. Is the plan, and I thought I kind of read into that in the conclusion in the report, that there's a transitioning existing dedicators to the Explorer platform. So does that mean you'd be able to hover over or click on the red mark and it would say the name?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, you're referring to specifically the dedication trees?
Well, actually anything, all three types, but mainly the trees, because you can't see the name on the site. Like, yeah.
Correct. So through the chair to Councillor Wolf, for our tree assets, the future plans are to have an interactive map where people, residents, as well as dedicators can view where they've actually dedicated that asset so that there is some acknowledgement that they have dedicated a tree within our parks.
Okay, then just a follow-up, so that wouldn't be the case for the table and the bench?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, no, that would not be the case for the bench. It would simply show the location on the map, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, appreciate that. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Okay, Andy?
Thanks, everything's been asked.
Okay. So, no further questions? Do I have a mover?
With the recommendation.
Second, call a question. Those in favor, opposed, motion carry. So manager's report, I'll go to Laura first.
Don't slow them up.
Thank you to the chair. You want me to bring up my item
Go to
before?
your items first.
The report? Okay. I have an item, it's regarding the, some trees, some lack of trees, on a YVR property surrounding Sea Island. So this is on a berm on a roadway, between Russ Baker Way and the Sea Island residents. And there, I've got a map here of all the sections where the trees are missing. So YVR had planted some trees. I can give it to the Parks Department or whoever it could be. And they died because they didn't water them or anything, right? And I think that YVR has, like, you know, more responsibilities than looking after our residents. I think that it might be their responsibility, but I don't think it's high on their priority list. Understandably, they got bigger things to do. So I'm just wondering if there's a way we can just plant some trees there and take care of them until they're mature. Or, you know, even if trees weren't going to succeed there, the residents around Airport Road and Catalina area are very affected by no trees being in that area, or no protection from the amount of traffic and dust and everything else that comes with airport traffic. So I'm just, yeah, do you have any?
Sure. Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, staff is well aware of the situation that you mentioned along Russ Baker and in the Burkeville area. It's correct that the way that you state that it's within YBR's jurisdiction.
Can you get a little closer to the mic?
Sure. So staff would, sorry about that. So staff would not be able to plant trees within the jurisdiction, but because we are well aware of the situation, we have active and current communication with YBR staff. So we will continue to increase that communication. Meanwhile, in the rest of the area, in the Burkeville area, there are city-dedicated or city-owned areas where staff in Parks Department will look into planting more trees, having better buffers, etc., to improve the environment. In that specific area that you've mentioned, unfortunately, because that's within YBR's jurisdiction, which the only way we can do is to continue our communication with YBR to express that condition to them.
So just to clarify, are you saying that you're just not allowed to? Like
That's correct.
they wouldn't let you?
It has to do with land ownership, because similar to, you can't go into your neighbors and just, do whatever in the garden. It's a similar situation, right? So we can't really go in there and plant trees within YBR's site boundary. We have to communicate with them for them to take care of it.
Right. So could you communicate with them? So I understand what you're saying. You can't just go ahead and do it, but you could ask permission to do it. You could say, if directed by council, you could say, we would like to pay for some trees for our residents there. Can we plant some and get their permission? Could you not?
So far, we're not able to. I think we can certainly suggest that, but keep in mind that when we are talking about planting new trees, usually the funding comes either from tree contribution funds or Parks DCC, and those are regulated by law of how and where you can spend them. Mm-hmm. So I would not suggest that, even though we can explore, other alternative ways to improve on the situation.
Okay, and in the same issue is that there are trees. For example, there's a poplar on Airport Road that's fallen over. That's a Sea Island. A YVR tree that, so what happens is when trees need to be cleaned up that have fallen over in Burkeville, the city will only clean up the part that's on the city property and won't actually fix the problem. If part of the tree is on the YVR part, it just gets left there. And these problems have been going on for years, and then they have to, the residents, there are residents have to live with that.
Right. Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, when we have emergency situation like that, staff obviously will clean up the site when we note it. So that can be dealt with. So that's the short answer to that.
Okay. I did meet with the residents recently, and there are 2 trees that are still partially on properties that
We could
haven't
look
been
into
cleaned
that.
up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to follow up with the issue about the trees of YVR. So what kind of response did they give to us so far, when they raised the issue? They just ignore us, or, they promise us something?
No, they didn't ignore us. However, they acknowledged the situation and just replied to staff that they will look into it. So that was it, right? Within our power, I don't know how more we can do with YVR, but as I said, right, we can continue and improve on communication with them. And similar to what Councillor Glanders is suggesting, we could offer help and see how it goes.
Now, what is the form of communication? Is it verbal, or is it, being an item on some kind of meeting?
It's all forms of communications, emails and phones, etc.
So I wonder if we should do something more, see if we can formally make a request.
Can I address that?
Yeah, okay.
So this is something that's a responsibility of YVR, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Why don't we recommend the council write a letter to
Yeah.
the chair of the YVR board with a copy to our representative on the board, asking that this situation, the situation of the trees be addressed, including replanting if necessary.
To the chair, to worship, obviously we can do that, yes.
Okay, can I make that motion?
Second it.
The YVR knows all about planting trees. Just look at Grant McConaughey Way. They know about planting trees. And,
Correct.
we just have to push them a little bit.
Okay, very good. So any further discussion? Call a question, those in favor? Opposed, motion carry. Good, very good. Okay, so now, Michael, you have some questions, right?
Thanks. Through the chair to staff, it was mainly just to confirm some of the information I've heard, and then ask staff to provide committee or council with an updated staffing tree with the anticipated vacancies. Because as I've heard recently, we've had some staff announce retirement and then gone by the end of the week. A couple have retirements in the next month, and some have moved to work in other cities. So, yeah, does staff have any comments on any of the recent staff departures or vacancies or?
Remember, this is in
Yeah,
open.
exactly, yeah.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, this is something I think more appropriate for a closed environment, but staff would be happy to provide a memo and can update as appropriate.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Could I just follow up?
Oh.
Could we get
Bill,
sorry.
Bill,
Yeah, following a memo, could we get an organizational chart for parks and whatever, like who's who and what's what? On it, that would be more helpful as well. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Now, managers' reports.
Good afternoon, committee. Through the chair, with spring break fast approaching on March 13th to 24th, we wanted to provide you with an update about the wide variety of recreation opportunities that are being offered for Richmond children and families to get active, learn new skills, and have fun with others during the break. As many parents work during the school break, the preschool, children's, and youth camps are popular programs with full-day and half-day options in a variety of areas from arts to sports to nature and science. Some camp highlights include the Engineering the Future camp at the City Center Community Center, the Preteen Sports Camp at the Steveston Community Center, and the Nature Detectives Camp at the Richmond Nature Park, just to name a few. To date, over 2,200 preschool children and youth have registered in spring break programs. In addition to these programs, a variety of drop-in activities are also available during the break, including daily public skating options at the Minoru Arenas and public swimming at both Minoru Center for Active Living and Watermania. Staff are looking forward to seeing our center and pools and arenas and other community facilities filled with children and families this coming spring break. I'm happy to answer any questions from the committee.
Any questions? Okay, so any further reports? No more? Okay, so can I have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Now, we have